few weeks ago, I was reviewing a pull request I put together with Claude Code. Nothing exotic, standard refactor, splitting a service class that had gotten a little too big into something cleaner. The diff was about 400 lines. I scanned it, tests were green, I approved it. 2 days later, I was back in the same part of the code for unrelated reason, and something felt off. One of the methods I refactored had lost a null check. Not a disaster. The path it guarded wasn't a hot one necessarily, but it was gone. I had reviewed that diff. The test had passed. I shipped it anyways. 25 years of writing code, and the version of me from 2020 would have caught it in 12 seconds. I sat with that longer than I like to admit. Not because of the bug. Bugs are bugs. I sat with it because of how the bug got through. There's a conversation happening in the industry right now, and I think it's aimed at the wrong target. The conversation is about replacement. Will AI replace developers? When? How many? Half the headlines are some version of that question. Half the replies are either relax, it's just a tool, or you're finished, learn a trade. I'm not going to spend this on that fight. I ship real code with AI. I work where it actually matters whether the code is correct or not. I don't think developers are getting replaced anytime soon, and I don't think being smug about it is really all that interesting. The replacement question is loud. It's also the wrong worry. The real one is quieter and has already been happening for a couple of years in the daily work of everyone who's picked these tools up seriously. It just doesn't come with a clean headline. AI isn't replacing developers, it's deforming them. I mean that literally. Deformation is what happens when something changes shape under steady pressure, usually without noticing it's happening. The developer doesn't disappear, the developer changes shape. Judgment, muscle memory, the ability to look at code and feel something is wrong even before you can explain why. Those don't vanish in one dramatic moment. They wear down slowly, over months, while you're being told you're more productive than you've ever been. That null check I missed was deformation. It wasn't a knowledge gap. I know what a null check is. I've written thousands of them. The thing that failed was the reading habit. The one that goes down a diff and notices the absence of something that should be there. The habit is built by reading a lot of code, slowly, with something at stake. It's kept sharp the same way. And for the last year, I've been doing less of that, not none, just less. The replacement crowd wants to know if developers will exist in 5 years. I want to know what kind of developers will exist. Because the process that produces good ones is being rerouted right now, and almost nobody is saying so. The deformation shows up in 3 places. They look like the same problem, but they aren't. They're going to need different answers. Start with juniors. The first few years of this career used to be a long, frustrating argument with the machine. You wrote code that didn't work, you read code you didn't understand, you debugged at 11 at night wondering if you'd chosen the wrong field. That struggle wasn't in the way of learning, it was the learning. It built the mental models and the instincts that separate a developer from someone who can produce code. AI takes the struggle away at exactly that stage where the struggle was the point. A junior now can get an answer to almost any question by asking a model, which means they may never sit with that question long enough for it to teach them anything. They don't lose the skill, they never build it. The mid-levels, the 5 to 8 year developer, are in a harder spot than they get credit for. They came up the slow way, they built the muscles. Now they're told they're behind if they don't learn AI, that their habits are dated, and that the careful path they took was a mistake. They are caught between 2 paths. One that made them and one that's telling them it was a wasted effort. Resist and you're the holdout. Go along and watch 8 years of hard-won instinct start to soften. Now the seniors. This is where my null check comes in. Skills don't fade because you stopped caring. They fade because the daily reps stopped. The seniors who leaned on AI heavily for 2 years has done less close reading, less solving from scratch, and less slow debugging that used to fill the day. The skill is still in there somewhere, but the edge slips in the way you can feel it from the inside, right up until you ship a refactor with a missing null check and have to sit with what that means. 3 different problems, 1 pattern under all of them. Most of what we called the hard part of programming was friction. Looking up the API, reading the code bases to learn how things were actually done, writing the test before you understood what you were testing. Sitting with a bug long enough to recognize it as one you'd meet 100 more times. Friction is where understanding actually lives. Writing something by hand is what builds your model of the system you're writing in. Debugging slowly is what teaches you the shape of the errors that you will find again in 5 years. Reading other people's code carefully is what calibrates your sense of what is good and bad code feel like. AI doesn't slow you down. That's the entire selling point. But it removes the friction of the exact moments that used to teach you something. You don't lose what you already know. You stop adding to it. And the parts you stop using go quiet, 1 rep at a time, until the version of you that would have caught it in 12 seconds isn't quite there anymore. I'm not saying stop using AI. I use it. I shipped a real iOS app with it earlier this year, and I'll use it again tomorrow. I'm saying that the conditions that produce developers you trust are changing. The person you want on a 3 in the morning outage and the one who can read a stack trace and tell you what broke 3 services upstream. That person was made by friction, and that friction is being removed. The junior never gets it, the mid-level gets told it was a waste, and the senior slowly gives it back. And almost nobody names it, because most people writing about AI either need it to be the future or need it to be the fad. It's neither. It's a tool with real power and a real cost. And that cost isn't paid by the tool. It's paid by the people using it. If you're a developer right now, you're going to look back on this stretch and either say you saw what was happening or say you didn't, and it cost you something you can't quite name. The first step is naming it. The second is deciding what to do about it.